Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about building your village. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a thinker, and that is exactly what we will be thinking about today. And thankfully, I have my special guest here, Florence, who's going to really help us think about this in a whole new way. So, thank you so much, Florence, for coming onto my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are with me, and I truly value this moment. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. When you hear the words building your village, what does that necessarily make you think about?
Well, it really came to be because during COVID, I saw so many people online and all different places bemoaning the fact that their villages had been taken away from them. Their support systems were all of a sudden gone overnight. And people kept saying, well, where is this village? Is there a phone number to call? Do these people just show up at your front door, just ready to help you raise your children with a casserole and everything? And, we all laugh about that, but it really gave me pause. And I thought, you know what, maybe it is time that we really did give directions to this elusive village. And so that's what brought me to write my book, Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. And I created 6 archetypes of villagers that you identify with. Who am I of these 6 and who do I need of these people in my village? Because it's about the reciprocity. It's about showing up for other people too, and not just gimme, 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 me. And so when I think of village, I really think of that proverb. It takes a village to raise a child, but cutting it in half. It takes a village, period, because no matter how you design your life, whether that is children, no children, single, married, relationship, whatever it might be, you do deserve to find your people and you are worthy of love.
I love that. I love that so much because we are living in a day and age where a lot of the times people don't have a village. They don't
Right,
have a big family that comes with healthy values and with
right.
healthy objectives for the whole, you know what I mean? And to know that we can build our own village and to know that you're able to identify the values that you want to have and to identify the needs and to know that you are willing to reciprocate as well. And it's not just as a gimme, gimme, gimme. It's an overall well-rounded community. I mean, I think that is the true value that people are missing. You know what I mean? They just expect, oh, well, I need somebody to help me with my kids. Okay, but are you willing to be there and show up just like that person is willing to be there and show up for you? And I think that is something that a lot of the times people are missing. And is that reciprocity? I forgot. I can't say the word, but you know what I mean. You got me. You
Reciprocal.
got
Yes,
me. Yes,
reciprocal.
there
Yes,
you go.
absolutely. Yes.
So, I guess how do you necessarily identify what type of villagers or what type of people or values to have in a good village?
Well, I always say that the villagers are kind of like casting a movie or a play. These are your main characters in life. And eh, people think that this is a heavy lift, but really what I want you to do is evaluate these people in your life as they currently are sitting in these seats. And, in the book, I talk about these archetypes, but for our purposes here, what I really want to challenge people to think about is, do you have the right people sitting in the right seats? Are you setting up your friends for success? So I'll give an example. The accepting villager that I have, this is the person you confide in. This is the person you tell secrets to, the one you can trust. Okay, so you start thinking about the people in your life, and maybe you have 3 or 4 different people that fit that role. That's okay. But then you start looking down the line of the 6 and you think, oh boy, I don't have the healer. And I define the healer as the person that walks through whatever the it is with you in life. They're next to you. They're not there to fix you or fix the problem necessarily, but they're to walk next to you and kind of be that North Star. And you think to yourself, I really don't have that. And maybe that's why I'm feeling depleted. Maybe that's why I'm going to sleep at night with this heaviness in my heart. Or maybe that's why I'm not feeling fulfilled by my friendships. And you start thinking, okay, that's a place I can concentrate my effort, that I want to make friendships that are going to fill that role. But then also, to use that as an example, maybe you have a friend that you have in that healer role or that accepting role, especially that accepting role, and they have betrayed your trust. And you don't know if you can necessarily continue a friendship with them. So, what I challenge you with there is Do you throw the whole friendship away, or do you realize that that person's not sitting in the right seat for you? They're not the best secret keeper, but they're a really good organizer. They're really good at getting your friends together and having a grand old time when you're out, but maybe you're not going to tell them your deepest, darkest secrets. So maybe it's okay to shift them into a different role and not completely, nix the friendship. So there are a lot of nuances to this, but what I'm trying to get people to do is to challenge what their current social ecosystem is and figure out what's working and what's not.
Absolutely. And I love that you brought that point up about not exactly cutting somebody off from their life and just
Right.
reevaluating what values they still hold and how to reposition them. It's like basically, okay, well, we hired you for this position, but you're not that good in it. Let's reposition you for another position.
Right.
And there you thrive. And I think that is one thing that I hold on to and I tell people is like, not everybody's going to be perfect for you,
Sure.
but but every person is perfect in the way that they are because they hold value in one way or in another, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like if somebody is a great a detective and finding information for you and you need to know that information, well, you can go to them and have that person find that information, but you also know not to go to them for for your deepest darkest secrets because you know that that person can also give away information as they also look for information. So
Right.
you so you have to like weigh it out and know when to utilize somebody's gifts and when to not utilize somebody because
Right.
they no longer are a gift in that moment that you may need them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like we have to find the balance because we have this stigma in this society now where everybody's irreplaceable. Everyone can just be removed and be cut off from my life and no longer have value. And I think that's truly hurtful for yourself and for the community because we really do need one another. And when we isolate ourselves, it really does hinder our soul in a way that it's not beneficial. So I
Right.
guess it leads me to my next question. What do you say for people who are so comfortable in isolation?
Isolation is not necessarily a bad thing. Someone like me, who I would consider myself an extroverted introvert, I love to be with people. I get a charge from that. I'm excited. Mitzi, I'm sure you feel the same way. But in order for me to reboot, in order for me to get up my mojo for the next social situation, I need to step back. I need to disconnect. And so that isolation in that moment is the right choice for me. But going back to COVID for a second, I know, gosh, 5 years later, we're still bringing it up, but the truth is, we are still feeling the effects of it. We're still seeing the friendship recession that happened because of it, the isolation that you're talking about, the loneliness epidemic that we have. And the reason I bring it up is because when we did retreat during COVID, when it was time for us to re-engage and time for us to reconnect, people not only didn't really want to do it, they didn't know how to do it. And those are two really detrimental things to someone's mental health. And so, like everything in life, it's moderation. You don't want to be a recluse. You don't want to isolate yourself to the point where it is deteriorating your mental health. But you do want to take that time to know that it's okay and perfectly acceptable for you to pull away from social situations or say no, and that be a complete sentence, or cancel plans because you're full that week, you are overwhelmed and you need to recharge. So again, isolation is not necessarily a bad thing when used appropriately, but if that is your MO, then you need to take a good hard look at how that isolation is affecting your mental health and everything else, even your physical well-being.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad that you brought that up too, because I think it most definitely identifies balance. You know what I mean? We need to find balance in our lives and we need to find balance with other people and we need to know how to truly bring people into our lives when it is okay. You know what I
Right.
mean? When it
Right.
is okay. We have to know that for ourselves and we have to know that no, the word no is a gift. It can be a gift in itself and allows us to have that self-respect as well. And for the people who don't understand no as a gift, I think that is something that they need to evaluate and understand and figure out within themselves, why is no something so hard for them to even step into, or just even express out themselves, or even to even accept from other people as well, because that is something that they need to have that hard recognition and that self-reflection time to really evaluate where that is in their lives. But in all reality, like, that no can truly be such a gift for your well-being. Like, no, I don't want to go out tonight. It's time for me to just have some self-care, just lay down and just do my face mask, and you know what I mean? Do things like that and just
Yes.
have that moment, because it really comes down to just loving yourself, because we can
Yes.
have a community and we can build a community, but if you don't know how to have that self-respect for yourself, that line of, "Oh, I have respect other people," is not gonna be really be there, because there's
Right.
always going to be this cord that's pulling you away, because it needs that self-respect within yourself as well. So, I think just having that balance is truly really important. So it's just like, I guess, when did you realize you have a very supportive village? Or yeah, I mean, when did you build it, I guess?
I feel like we always are building our village. The one thing that I can guarantee you is that it will change, right? That's the only thing I
Mhm.
can guarantee you, is that everything in life is usually temporary. And yes, of course, there are friendships that have been with you, have stood this test of time. I mean, one of my best friends from childhood, we're still friends to this day. But that's not the majority. That's usually the minority in terms of your friendship group. And it's about quality versus quantity too. And as we get older,
Absolutely.
Mitzi, I know, I'm sure you have found this, and people tell me this is one of their biggest challenges as an adult. We're not making friends the same way we used to as an adult, because when you're younger, the world is your oyster, right? You're in school and there's so many people, it's exciting. And then you get older and it's really the workforce, or if you've gotten married and have children, it's that community or your friends, your children's parents, and that's who you become friends with. And that's a great way. That's a wonderful way to make connections. But if that's not your life, and for I can speak as a single woman, I have no children, uh, you know, I have to make friends a different way because I'm not making them through my kids at school. And
Yeah.
so it does change. It does change kind of the strategy there. But I want to go back to one thing you mentioned too, which I think is related to this as we get older and older, regarding how we choose our friendships. Oftentimes when we feel bad about saying no, or we feel bad about our self-care or standing up for ourselves or whatever it might be, it comes from this place of people pleasing.
Mhm.
And that gets us in a lot of trouble,
Mhm.
because we're living for other people's approval. We're living for other people instead of worrying about the oxygen mask that we're putting on ourselves so we can show up for others. But as we get older and we start choosing these friendships, we should be more selective based on their value system. Is it shared? Doesn't mean that everyone looks like you, sounds like you, believes all the same things you do, but there has to be an alignment to a certain point where you can respect the other person. If that respect isn't there, just like in a romantic relationship, you're going to have a hard time sustaining the relationship. And
Mhm.
so as we make friends as adults, it's okay to say there are certain friendships that have served me, but that season of that friendship has ended. And there is a
Yeah.
graceful way to remove yourself from that friendship or exit it. And there's different strategies that can apply to that as well. Um, but it can sometimes be very difficult for us to accept the ending of something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Florence. Oh my goodness. That is something that I've always had issues with, and I see things in seasons, you know what I mean? Because like you said, everything is very temporary. Like, nothing is forever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because it requires change, it requires evolvement, it requires, just time. And
Right.
I said that one time to a friend. I was just like, okay, but this is just a season in our time. We're going to break off, and when we do, I mean, you have the choice of doing it the hard way and just holding on, or being really really upset and cutting cords altogether and never accepting me back in your life ever again. I mean, you have all the right to do that, but at the same time, we can continue on our lives and show up and whenever we're able to, and can still be okay. But it all depends on how you want to go about it. But once this season of our lives is over, then just know I still have love for you. I still wish the best, nothing but the best for you, but just know I will not always be here as I was before. And I hope that that's okay, and it wasn't okay for her. But
Yeah.
that's so if it wasn't okay for her, I was just like, okay, I'm sorry that's how you feel, but it's okay for me. You know what I mean? I still have to continue on. And
Right.
I continue on. I mean, she still doesn't talk to me to this day, and she holds a grudge to this day, but that's on her. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And I pray that one day she lets go, and she learns to see things differently. But we have to acknowledge the fact that it's okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I wasn't one of those people that know myself well enough and I still had that people pleasing mentality, I would be, oh my goodness, well, no, I would be your friend. I'll do whatever you want, but we could stay together forever. Like, no, it
Right.
doesn't work like that. Like,
Right.
it's not necessarily realistic. And one thing that also bothers me is those people that say, "Oh, if you don't reach out to me every day or don't message me every day, then you're cut off from my life." But it's like we have to be realistic. You know
Sure.
what I mean? We have to be realistic. We have jobs, we have families, we have friends, you have all these responsibilities, but we also have time to we have to realize our time for ourselves too is precious. And if
Right.
somebody has time to just sit down and relax and just take a moment to just breathe, then they shouldn't be mad or be accused as a bad person just because they decided to breathe and not look at their phone or not respond to that
Right.
text that you've been waiting for a response on. You know what I mean? Like they have the right to just close their eyes and go to sleep and without texting you. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that people need to realize, like they have to find this balance. So I guess my question for you is, what is a misconception about a village that a lot of people have?
You touched on it a little bit, and I want to expand on it, which is that not every relationship is a forever relationship. And sometimes there are friendships or even just people that come to our lives for a specific reason, and I actually mean a reason, like a crisis moment. Giving an example of that, perhaps there has been a horrific loss in your community. I mean, look at what's happening in Texas right now with Camp Mystic. How heartbreaking, how just absolutely just guts you. There
Yeah.
are going to be people in that community that come together for this moment of crisis that will help and try to heal, and will fill a void. But then, after a certain time, those people probably will start to pull back or go back to whatever their normal cadences of their life, and maybe not necessarily very present anymore, but they're there now in the moment of crisis, in the moment of need. When it is time for those people to pull back, uh, it doesn't mean that those relationships or those people have been devalued. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they weren't an extremely important piece of your story or the moment. Uh, it just means that their purpose has come to an end. But
Yeah.
again, it doesn't mean that it was not priceless or worth something in your life. And so I look at that in a lot of different ways. As your village, I talk about in the book, when your village burns down, sometimes you burn it down yourself.
Oh, I love
Sometimes it's
that.
out of your control.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a divorce, a breakup, a death, whatever it might be. And there are people that do come into your life for those moments of crisis, but don't necessarily stay long term.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot because people don't realize everyone has a reason in some way, shape, or form for a certain time. And when they are there, value it, embrace it, you know what I mean? Acknowledge it. And
Mm,
when it's time for them to go on, just you can look back and have that appreciation that you weren't alone, that you did
right,
have somebody, you know what I mean?
right,
And you have proof in that, you know what I mean? But at the same time, continue on, go
right.
forward and find the next village or find the next person or be a village for somebody else. You know what I
Right.
mean? Just finding those opportunities is such a way to truly bask in this concept of a village, you know what I mean? That is really something special. And it sucks that know that the time is catching up to us because I feel like we can continue on talking about
I
this
know.
in different directions and different avenues because this is such a great topic. But to leave some lasting words, what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
If you are struggling right now with connection and you don't know where to start, I always say that philanthropy is the first place to go because you're going to be able to give back. I do believe we live in a life in service of others. So think about what makes your heart beat, what makes your heart flutter. As I always say, throw it into
Mm,
Google, ask around, and then give yourself to that service because not only are you going to be able to give back, but you're also going to meet people that are like
mm,
minded, have similar values. And all of a sudden, you're going to start making connections and you're probably going to develop friendships. And it's a low stress way of you being able to do that, especially if you're a little more shy. You don't feel like you're walking in a place asking for someone to be your friend. It's probably going to naturally happen. So if you're feeling disconnected right now, think about philanthropy and how that could really affect your life in a positive way.
I love that. Thank you so much, Florence. You really did bring so many great topics, so many great avenues of this topic just to branch out. It's like a little umbrella.
Thank you,
Truly beautiful.
Missy.
And
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this conversation, because how could you not, right? How could you not? Please go check her out. I have her lovely photo on my website. You click on it and it goes directly to her website. Or if you're listening audio or on YouTube, have access to her website and you can click on it and you can go check out all the great content that she has to offer the world so that you can continue on thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Go check out her book. Please go check her out, right? So that you can find your village, you can find your friendships, and so that you don't have to feel alone if you really are feeling alone. And you can learn how to be a friend if you're trying to figure out how to be a friend, because I know that common sense isn't very common and we have to build and learn along the way. So learn, you know what I mean? Build yourself up, be the person that you always wanted to be or the person that you always needed in your own life. So with that being said, always, always, always keep thinking, y'all. Bye.